Well, look, we're going to talk about magnolias, right? And you know you like to talk about magnolias,
Oh,
don't you?
magnolias. I have a whole bunch of them. We're going to talk about some of them today.
Good.
But, you know, magnolias, beautiful, majestic magnolias. There's more magnolias around with the diverse shapes, sizes, the foliage, and their soil adaptability.
Oh, that's even better.
So, I mean, and, you know, we'll do some generalizations about magnolias. Okay. Most of them like well-drained soil.
Okay.
There is an exception that we will talk about, but
Right.
most of them like well-drained soil.
Okay.
And the other thing that's interesting about magnolias is they are difficult to transplant. So when you get one of the plants and you've got the root ball or the container, make sure you handle that carefully and try not to disturb the roots that are in there. Because this is the reason why it's difficult to transplant magnolias. They have fleshy root system with very few little hairs.
Okay.
So they don't hold soil well.
Right.
And then, because you know, when you do plant it, make sure you don't have too wet a soil to put it in, and you can push it down to adhere the soil to the roots, and then you water it in to get rid of all the air pockets that could still be left. But magnolias are notorious for being hard to transplant. And now they've gotten better over the years.
Okay. That's good to know.
There's something that also is interesting about magnolias, what makes them part of their family together. They all have fruits that are called follicles.
Follicles, okay.
Where their seeds are inside. And some of the seeds are beautiful, red.
Red, yeah.
And gorgeous. Yeah. And you know, there's so many of them. There's books of magnolias, and there's the Magnolia Society. And there's a website you can go to, magnoliasociety.org, and get a lot of information about magnolias.
Okay, we'll be sure to get that on the website. We can do that, okay?
So let's talk about some of my favorite ones.
Yeah, let's talk about some of your favorites.
Magnolia acuminata, the cucumber tree magnolia. It is one of the magnolias that is deciduous, which means it loses its leaves in the wintertime. And it likes, this is interesting, it likes a soil pH of 7. It prefers a partly shady area best because it's found in the woods.
Oh, okay. Its
hardiness zones are 3 through 8. And it gets about 50 to 80 feet tall. It's one of the larger, magnolias. It has large leaves too, but there are a couple of cultivars that are very, very nice because the acuminatas have yellow blooming spring flowers.
I've seen those.
On them. They're gorgeous. And a couple of varieties are really popular called Elizabeth and Butterflies.
I like it.
They're gorgeous. Of course, it's native. This is the native magnolia that's found in limestone soils of the Shenandoah Valley and the Blue Ridge Parkway, but it actually is native to the eastern half of the United States.
Good.
It can be found just about anywhere, but it's usually in a forest somewhere.
Okay.
Then there is our favorite one, the southern magnolia, Magnolia grandiflora, and it is evergreen. It means it stays green all year long. Great big tree. It likes zones 6 through 10. It prefers full sun, but it can take some shady areas. Its height is variable depending on the cultivar, and most trees are about 50 feet or bigger.
Still your size.
But there are some that are smaller.
Okay.
It blooms with 6 to 8 inch wide blooms in the summertime, usually early summer. One thing that everybody that's had a southern magnolia can say, yes, yes, yes. It drops leaves all summer.
I knew it.
And it has surface roots. And I know people try to obliterate the surface roots, but that is just the characteristic of southern magnolias, which is why it is best to let them branch down towards the ground, because when the leaves fall, then you don't have to pick them up all the time. And you don't have to worry about tripping over the roots because they're underneath the canopy.
Right. I get it.
But sometimes you can't do that in some areas.
I've actually heard somebody say, long skirts.
Long skirts.
Magnolias don't like to show their knees.
Right.
All right.
In this case, the dead leaves that keep falling from it in the summer and the surface roots.
That's right. Okay.
Now there are a few varieties that are of note And if you can, I wouldn't get the straight variety. I would get one of these. Bracken's Brown Beauty. It is known to transplant better than any of the others. And it is a more full tree. Okay. Another good one that I like, that I have, is D.D. Blanchard. It's got some of the darkest green leaves of any magnolia. And the backside of it is this rich brown cinnamon color, gorgeous. Okay. Little Gem is the smallest of the commercially grown. There are smaller ones, but this is the Little Gem is the smallest commercially available southern magnolia. It gets about 20 feet tall, and of course it in zones 7 and 8 will produce flowers throughout the summer. Nice. So it blooms longer than probably any of the other magnolias.
Okay, yeah, definitely familiar with the Little Gem.
Yeah, I like those.
All right, now let's see if we can quickly go through some of the other ones that you like.
Okay.
All right.
Magnolia soulangeana, the saucer magnolia, it's deciduous, partly shady, best, zones 4 through 9, height of 20 to 30 feet. Flowers emerge before the leaves appear in the spring. Okay. Then there's Magnolia macrophylla, the bigleaf magnolia. It's deciduous too, and it definitely likes partly shady with an afternoon shade is best. It's zones 5 through 8, 30 to 40 feet tall. It is not for a small yard because the leaves on this could be 12 to 32 inches long and 7 to 12 inches wide. So it's got huge leaves on it. And it's really known for its foliage, not really its blooms.
Yeah, big leaf. Okay, yeah. How about that?
Magnolia stellata, the star magnolia, is deciduous too. It likes partly shady area, but its hardiness zone is 4 through 9, and it's a small tree, about 15 to 20 feet. That is not big.
Yeah, not big.
It's one of the first trees that blooms in the spring. In fact, it'll start blooming in February with some of the weathers.
I know that. Okay.
Some cultivars are the royal star, which is white, and water lily, which has got pink buds that turn into white flowers. And then there's the Magnolia liliiflora. This is probably one of the more popular deciduous lily magnolias. It's zones 5 through 8, height up to 15 feet. Okay. Likes partly shady area with, again, afternoon shade. It's got lily-shaped flowers, and it's known for the little girl series, like Jane and Susan and all of these. So, but they have some of the really dark colors, like the purples and the dark pinks. Nice. So it's really pretty. Then there's the Magnolia loebneri. Loebner magnolia. It is deciduous. It likes full sun to part shade. It's zones 5 through 9. It is a tall, slender form of a deciduous magnolia. And it flowers a little bit later than other deciduous magnolias, so it rarely gets hit by frost. So some people like it better because of that.
I can see that. Okay.
And then the last one we're going to talk about is the one that's very popular. Yeah. Magnolia virginiana is a native to the United States. It's a sweetbay magnolia, likes full sun to shade, and everything in between.
Everything in between.
It is hardy through zones 5 through 9. It gets 20 feet tall in cooler climates and then up to 60 feet tall in warmer climates.
That's tall.
And in the warmer climates, like it can be, there's a variety called Australis that is kind of semi-evergreen to evergreen. And so sometimes it keeps its leaves and sometimes it doesn't. So it'll keep a few of them on there during the winter. Very interesting. It blooms in the early summer, and they're lemon-scented blooms. They're gorgeous. It's a good patio tree or something to have close to you. It differs from most magnolias because it's also known.
Make sure that we say this. Right?
It's also known as the swamp magnolia because it can stand wet soils.
Okay. Swamp magnolia.
Wet. Right. Yeah. But it also likes acid soil.
Okay.
So
acid
soils and moisture it can take. And it can take some dry areas too, but it does better in more moist soils.
That's pretty versatile. Okay.
Yeah, and it's native to the United States.
Wow. I like Sweetbay Magnolia. There's actually some right in front of the studio.
Yes, it is. That's what we have out there. And it's a wet area, and they do just fine.
They do just fine. How about that? So thank you, Joellen. That's good information about those magnolias. Some good options there as well. And I'm from the state of Mississippi. Our state tree.
Oh, is the southern
magnolia.
Yes.
Southern magnolia. So I'm very familiar with the southern magnolia. So thank you much for that.
You're welcome.
Thanks for watching the video. I hope you enjoyed it. To find out more information on this topic, just click on the familyplotgarden.com link in the description.